From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Thursday, February the 13th, 2020. Israel said it is suspending ties with the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights after the UN Human Rights Council published a so-called blacklist of companies doing business with Israel over the Green Line, meaning in East Jerusalem, the Golan Heights, and the West Bank. Israel's Foreign Minister Yisrael Katz's office said he ordered the exceptional and harsh measure in retaliation to Michelle Bachelet's office serving the BDS campaign, referring there to the anti-Israel boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu tweeted that whoever boycotts us will be boycotted. The UN Human Rights Council, he wrote, is a biased body that is devoid of influence. Palestinian leadership lauded the UN list and said they would pursue the companies on it. Palestinian Authority Prime Minister Mohammed Shtayyeh was cited by PA news site Wafa, saying, "We will pursue the companies listed in the report legally through international legal institutions and through the courts in their countries for their role in violating human rights." He said the PA will demand compensation for illegally using our occupied lands and for engaging in economic activity in our lands without submitting to Palestinian laws and paying taxes. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo condemned the UNHRC list, calling it outrageous and saying its publication confirms the unrelenting anti-Israel bias so prevalent at the UN. He asked for other UN member states to reject the list as well. Israel's Strategic Affairs Minister said today that the UNHRC list was compiled with the help of organizations affiliated with terror groups. The Jerusalem Post cited Gilad Erdan, saying that one such group was Adamir, a Palestinian non-governmental organization whose accountant is a member of terror group the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, who himself detonated a bomb that murdered 17-year-old Rina Schnurb in the West Bank last year. Despite a reported agreement from Gaza terror groups to halt the launching of incendiary balloons at Israel, several such devices were sent into and detonated over southern Israel today, one exploding over an elementary school in Sderot, sending students running for bomb shelters. There were no injuries reported. The student government at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign voted to adopt a resolution that supports BDS. Students voted 20-9 in favor of the resolution, which calls on the university to divest from, quote, companies that profit from human rights violations in Palestine and other communities globally, unquote. And a student government committee at the University of California, Berkeley voted against a resolution condemning a display by a pro-Palestinian student group that glorifies terrorists. The Associated Students of the University of California Senate's University and External Affairs Committee vetoed the resolution 4-1 to allow the display by the group Bears for Palestine, which includes photos of quote-unquote Palestinian leaders showing convicted terrorists, among them Rasmea O'Day, who was convicted for her involvement in a 1969 terror bombing in Jerusalem that killed 2 college students, and Layla Khaled, involved in several plane hijackings, including in 1970 an El Al flight. And a group of undergraduate Jewish students at Harvard announced on Facebook this week the formation of their new group, the Harvard Jewish Coalition for Peace, proclaiming themselves as anti-Zionist and pro-BDS. Vered Noam will become the first woman to receive the Israel Prize for Talmud Studies. Professor Noam is the chair of the Chaim Rosenberg School of Jewish Studies at Tel Aviv University and a full professor in the Department of Jewish Philosophy and Talmud. The committee said Noam was recognized internationally for her research, as well as a shining example through her contribution to the research community and the public at large of communicating the rabbinic and Talmudic texts to all students in Israel. The Israel Prize is presented on Israel's Independence Day. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Thursday, February the 13th. At 7 o'clock, it's Talmud Study. At 8:30, director Eve Annenberg talks about her film Romeo and Juliet in Yiddish. At 9, Mark Golub sits down with Dr. Aaron Ben-Zeev to discuss the psychology of love. At 10, author Lucinda Franks talks about her book Timeless, Love, Morgenthau, and Me. And coming up right after this newscast tonight, Mark Golub speaks with the Times of Israel's political correspondent Haviv Reteg-Gur on how Israelis feel about the U.S. peace plan. That's on tonight's In the News. And that's the JBS News Update for Thursday, February the 13th, 2020. I'm Teisha Bader.